Hi, welcome back to West Coast Geeks. Oops, sorry. That's where I've been lately, people. Welcome back to Comic Book Gallery. How we doing? So I have another channel that I broke up for those of you who are new subscribers or just watching this video in general the first time, where I kept everything under Comic Book Gallery. That means like all the Dungeons and Dragon content, which you'll find some still here, and Magic the Gathering. And so I decided to make another channel and dedicate all that. That's why that one's called West Coast Geeks. And we're here now with Comic Book Gallery. Okay, now that I got that out of the way. So, first of all, for those of you who are enjoying your 4th of July weekend, I too will be doing that after work. Gotta work in the morning. But at least it's time and a half pay. So I thought I'd do for this weekend Dazzler, a falling star of the X-Men. Why wasn't Alison Blair good enough to be a fan favorite? Now, first of all, I'm just going to come out and say I am a fan favorite. I do like her character. I've always liked the look of her. Her powers are pretty cool. It's just that I was at a convention at the Ontario Comic Con, and Chris Claremont said some interesting things. He talked about Dazzler and how she just wasn't good enough to make the team at that point. Like he thought that she was a good solo story. Now I'm not saying that she wasn't good enough to join the team at that point. The other writers and powers that be didn't want her there because they just, in essence, I know I'm putting words in his mouth, but this is my interpretation. She was just too vanilla, and I'm not talking about just because she's white. She's just just too bland. And her powers, while some of them were unique, where, the whole thing about sound, other than that, um, she shoots lasers. And at the time, they're like, well, we already have somebody who shoots lasers. That's Cyclops. So if you think about every team, most of them do not have a backup, right? So if you thought about the X-Men in the second team, who do we have? Yeah, we had a strong guy, Colossus. We had Cyclops, who was the leader, who um, shot out his blast, the optic blast. Um, we had Wolverine, who was the like brawler, street fighter type that later on became samurai and everything else, espionage. So we had him. So he has a healing power and he's got his claws, but he's the fighter. We had Nightcrawler, who was a teleporter and could hold his own a little bit when it came to like fighting. Like he's not really strong or anything, but his power is teleporting. We had Storm, who controls weather, and she did a lot of things. And then last but not least, we had Shadowcat, and Shadowcat was able to phase and disrupt electronics, right? So when they were looking at this character that they created, they're like, I don't think she's a good fit for the X-Men, even though she's a mutant. And so they gave her her own series. That's like a little brief history on how Alison Blair came to, be featured in the X-Men for like 2 issues. She first appeared in X-Men 130. Um, they met her at a concert, I believe. It's been a while since I've read the book. So as you can see there, those are all the X-Men I named, and I'm not. Wait a minute. Shadowcat hasn't even joined yet. I think she's 139. My bad, people. So this is the team right here. So we got 5 people. Um, the Dazzler, they, like I said, they wanted to go off in their own direction with her. And I think that series lasted for a little bit, but we'll get into that because I have a slide to remind me. But here it is, opening concept. I like the character. Um, so Dazzler had her own solo series in 1981. It lasted until 1985. The run was like 42 issues. So I'm in the process of slowly going back and collecting leaves. Not because I think they're valuable. I just want to read the story They were always throwing in, like, she had like Doctor Doom, like they always had a lot of characters in this series to help um, maintain sales and keep interest in Dazzler. I mean, look what they got. Dazzler number one. You got the Enchantress. You got Nightcrawler. You got Iron Man. You got Spider Man. I do want to read that because just the cover alone is enough to make me go, hmm. All right, so she joins the team in Uncanny X-Men 215 after the Mutant Massacre because a few members had left by then. So, I want to say in 199, 198, Storm loses her powers. 200, she becomes the leader of the X-Men because she defeats Cyclops. So Cyclops is left. The team's kind of like like members are off doing their own things. Like this is a really unique time for the X-Men that they had the team kind of like scattered, and Magneto's now leading, and he's heading up to school because he's taking care of like the New Mutants, but he's also there for the X-Men, and these guys are people who are after Storm. And the Crimson Commando sounds pretty cool. I could see him making an MCU. We got Super Sabe. I don't think he would make it. And maybe Stonewall. I don't think they want too many characters who have super speed and running around the MCU. But they, unlike DC, you can have a couple. But so, um, you can get most of these books right here for like under $10, especially like X-Men 15. You can get like a raw new mint at like $5 or something like that. So, she stays with the team until Uncanny X-Men 260. So you're like, Joaquin, she had a nice run. She did. She had a solid run, 45 issues where she stays with the team. And I think this is the issue where she leaves some serial killer after her. In between all that, I want to say you had, after the Mutant Massacre, you had the Goblin Queen. And I think there was one or maybe two other events. So she had a nice little run. So, like I said at the very beginning, Chris Claremont was talking about how she's a better off as a solo story, and he also threw in Wolverine. Said that too. Like he was like, I also thought Wolverine, but the powers that be, you know, um, put him into everything, as we know. That should know this. All right. So, there were some other interesting things that he said. I caught the question and answer at the end because my phone couldn't record the whole 1 hour. So you can check out that video. I made that recently. Uh, the wrap up here. So Dazzler, she's been, as you can see right here, my little bullet point. She's been in cartoons, has toy appearances or toy products. I don't know why I put appearance. You can even find like statues. And here's something I'm gonna end with Dazzler because this is just a short introduction of the character, who she is, and what she's been doing. Um, if this video gets, like for me, 10 likes is good. Maybe I can do a more in-depth video about Dazzler, but I plan on doing all the other X-Men, so I'm gonna go back with like the first team and do this style. So, we got Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Beast, and Angel, and I'm gonna keep moving up a few more teams, and then just breaking off and doing individual mutants. So Bo Derek almost played Dazzler in a movie. And I want to say that it fell apart because of a couple other factors in it. Like, um, I think the story got out a little bit out of hand. Like, they're trying to throw in all these superheroes. And, back then, we're talking like in the 80s, that's a big budget. And then Bo Derek wanted her husband, I think, to direct it. And so with all these things, it just fell apart. But, Bo Derek would have played Dazzler, and that would have been interesting to see what they wanted to do with that movie. Um, Too bad they couldn't pull it off, but um, So my final thoughts on Dazzler is this. I like her, especially once they showed her, like I want to say it's like 217 around there when she had joined. I know I just showed you the slide, but when she joined that little run, she had an issue with like Rogue, and she had her time. She had her time to shine. And so my phone, sorry about that. She had her time to shine, and she had some interesting stories. If you think about the X-Men team at that time, um, I want to say Wolverine was like the only one to get his solo story of all those members. I know that they've done uh, miniseries on Shadowcat, but they had one with Wolverine. I think that was her first miniseries, and then she's had other ones. Same thing with Nightcrawler. Um, I'd have to double check, but I just can't remember Colossus getting a miniseries back in the early '90s or late '80s around that time. Um, so she's a character that she's always going to have a nice following in the comic book community, which I'm glad because, like I said, I do like the character. But if you ask the average person who who is now learning about the Marvel superheroes, and even some of the new X-Men fans, if they know who Dazzler is, you'll be surprised at how many of them don't. And so, you know, like even in the most recent series of the X-Men going on with the, Hickman run, that's not really the Hickman run anymore. I don't really know how much exposure she's getting in there. Like I don't, I'll watch some videos on it. I don't read anything after the hit Sword of X or something. I can't remember it now. It's been so long. Powers of X, Sword of something. After I had read that, I just knew it was just going to blow up into all these other books, and they were going to carry this on for a long time. And so I just exit stage left at that. And so with that, people, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a good weekend. If you did, hit the like button, help the channel grow by subscribing, and leave a comment below. Are you a Dazzler fan, and would you like her to make an appearance in the MCU? Because they only have so many slots for the movies, and I don't think Dazzler's going to make the first cut. I could be wrong, but we'll see, people. So, oops, sorry, got lost in thought. So with that, I will catch you later.